We'll go ahead and get started today, and thank you for coming in. We respect your schedules and your calendars, and we know you have choices of what sessions that you want to attend. Michelle Putnick and myself are eager to work with you guys. We're going to give you some insights into manufacturing, CRM, and even a little bit bigger picture than that. One of the most exciting things we do at Microsoft is when customers and partners come onto campus, or when we're able to bring them into our office, or we go on to their site, and we're able to showcase some of the visionary, but also the most immediate opportunities they have. Sometimes that's an immediate fix or an implementation or a project that they're working on. Sometimes it's a larger strategy picture across departments. And we'll try and hit on a few of those things today. It's going to be manufacturing-based, but it also will touch in on the supply chain across all the way into retail and into break, fix, service, warranty, so the full ecosystem of what your businesses look to. One of the areas that's sometimes confusing within Microsoft is the manufacturing industry, and how do we define the manufacturing industry. So as you see, we have everything within this group from automotive to industrial IEM to chemical to pharma. So we work with each of these groups, and we have dedicated people both on Michelle's team at the EPG level, product team groups that work on it, marketing teams. We have a lot of different groups that will work specific within what you do in your area of business, whether that's you work in the automotive parts, or you work in, maybe medical manufacturing, device manufacturing, or anything that you do. We're going to talk about it more as a manufacturing level, but we do have this vertical level of overlay to be able to go more one-on-one. So there are definitely global trends that we're working with that are impacting you both as risk and as opportunities. So everything here, you can see the shift to consumers. Customers are able to do their research. Figures are anywhere around 86% up and down, higher than 86% typically. Whenever you talk to an analyst, they've already made their buying decisions. They've done their homework. They know what refrigerator they want to buy. They know the car that they're looking at, and now they're just going to show up on the show floor room, and they're looking at negotiation of that last mile. And they know what they want, and if you're not going to provide it as a manufacturer, it's impacting your sales, even if it's indirectly through the channel. Another one is the connected experiences. We all have tablets, phones, multiple devices within our world. And if you have children, my 10-year-old wants a phone for his birthday next week. And this is the world they operate in, and that's it's bled into our world in the business environment as well. Everyone's used to being connected all the time. There are a lot of studies around the attention span, and as we give this conversation and this talk, there's that temptation, and several of you will have your laptops open, you glance down, you always want to be somewhere else, but you also want to be engaged in the conversation here. And that's just the world that we live in with this always connected, always empowered world. Regulations, we're seeing a lot of changing within the governmental structures around the world, whether that's maybe energy efficiency, the green laws that are coming into place. Some of your areas are more regulated than others. How do you go, if you're a global company and you're reacting across the ocean, how in one geographic market are you able to react and then not in another one? How are you able to blend? How are you able to keep up with legislation beyond just reading the Wall Street Journal, The Economist, or other publications, or having a lobbyist working with those governments? So all of these areas, what we wanted to do is put it into context, and this is from Kirill's keynote, if you saw his keynote and some of the other conversations earlier in the week. So all the way from R&D and your PLM system as you're designing your product to the core manufacturing, traditional historic area of production operations in your ops area, into marketing, sales, distribution in your supply chain channel, getting it out from your warehouse into your distribution centers, and then actually making it to the customer. And then the customer care, which is our service, warranty, parts, refresh, and building that ongoing relationship with your customer. Now, traditionally, CRM would go in, we might be SFA and being the sales. We might work with your channel, and it depended. My background's with Siebel and with KPMG, and we would go into customers, and we typically, with a CRM solution, we would have marketing and sales, and that was about it. It was fairly light on the marketing side. Well, now you've seen the investments that Microsoft has made within and the R&D that we've put together, both acquisitions and internal growth. We're really heavy on the marketing piece now, and the social, and incorporating that area, so that we're working with manufacturing organizations to help them monitor what's going on in social. How are you interacting with your direct customers? Michelle will give you some more examples of that, but also on the customer care. So how are you keeping up with the products, break, fix, recalls, parts, warranties, being able to use that as a profit center. We'll walk you through some of the ideas around that and how you can really turn these other areas of your organization that you may have not been working with previously. I mentioned, a lot of the things in the external world. We won't go through this in detail. Hopefully we'll have some one-on-one conversation with you or other people from our Microsoft or our channel will, and we can cover what, some of these are hitting you more than other, whether that's labor overseas, onshore, offshore. How is the minimum wage going to impact your labor? How training, or we actually touched on a lot of these already. Sustainability is a big one. So when China is starting to put in billions of dollars into sustainability and their infrastructure to require that, how is that going to affect your profits and your margins and your implementations and infrastructure there? When UK has, they've now made pre-K, every pre-K kid is going to now have developer class, so they're coding and they're learning coding. Every area within the world, we have the Panama Canal that we're working with here, and as that widens, where are you going to put your distribution centers? Are you going to become closer to the fleet and the one-day delivery of your product? When it breaks down, how are those coming back into your world, and how are you getting that product back to you in a quick relationship that's responsive to your customer? Traditionally, on the left-hand side, these are the technologies that you have been focused on, and that the press and analysts and your execs have been saying, hey, are we going to go to the cloud model? Are we going to be in a hybrid model? How are we going to do that? How are we going to migrate part of our division? Maybe we open a plant, we put that into the cloud. Maybe it's just part of our data set. So within that area, I was participating in a conversation last week on campus. It was a large city, a metropolitan area in the United States, and they were telling us that police cars, they have it's again a large metro area. The police cars are outfitted just with the video in front of their police, and they have one front, one back. That's a gig per shift per car that they have to store, and in legislation they're mandated by statute that they have to keep that over 8 years. And it fluctuates, but right now it's set on 8 years. We multiply that times how many police cars in their fleet, how many shifts they have, and all of a sudden they were looking at Azure for storage just to be able to get that data. If you talk to a utility company and they put the smart meters out, the utility companies did not have the infrastructure in place to be able to take all of the data. It was great to have this new smart meter out in your neighborhood, connected to every home and every business, but now where do we keep that data? More importantly, how are we going to use that data and learn from that so that it's working for us more proactively rather than just data and bits and bytes that we've got to find a home for now? Also, you see the BI, so I'm touched on a little bit of the BI piece of how do we use that? How do we use that? How do we use this data and turn it to information that we can actually monetize and make a profit on? If you haven't had a chance downstairs, or if you haven't downloaded it before, most of you use Excel. And if you look at Office 365, it now has Power BI, Power Map, and it's a fantastic. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, there are 2 or 3 people in a pod downstairs from Microsoft. Go up and just get a quick opportunity to look over their shoulder and see how that works. It allows and empowers you as one user to see the information that you want, to present it in a different way, either to your customers, to your channel, to your executive team, to others within your organization. But it really puts the power of reporting and analysis and information in your hands. So those are areas. I won't have a chance to cover all of each of those areas. We can cover them more in depth in other sessions. But those are the areas that you traditionally are looking at. We wanted to make sure today and introduce 2 key areas that are of high growth, high impact for your organization as a manufacturing company, and as you get in more towards the supply chain, maybe even retail. So that is the Internet of Things, IoT, and MES. And those are 2 areas where we start. Everyone thinks of devices and connectivity to the cloud. Oh yeah, the phones. We're following the third world and other countries starting to light up and get more phones, and that's the next opportunity for phones. But if you think about the devices that are on the factory floor, you think about the products that are going out, whether that's a toy, whether that's your light bulbs, your refrigerator. When the products that you manufacture, when those are going out the door and out your plant onto a loading dock and landing somewhere, those are all going to be connected in the future. Michelle will cover that in more detail, but once you have all of that data and all of those things turned on and they're pointing towards you, what are you going to do with that data? What is your organization? How are you going to use that? And especially, how are you going to use not only the data coming to you, but put that in context? So now I want to see a tire on the road compared to the government, it has accessibility to weather patterns. So that tire was at this pressure, at this temperature, at this part of the at this date and time, on this corner of the highway. It becomes really good information for you to do a lot of analysis on your products, on how your customers are using that, and it gives you a great opportunity to work with those customers. We've been testing this conversation in a number of conversations with customers, across the board around the world. And instead of talking about our products, CRM, AX, and then the other products within Microsoft, we've been making sure to say, start it from the top down. This is the world in which you live in. And we don't really even talk about the products anymore. We're talking about what they're trying to see and what they're trying to get out of the technology. Cisco, IBM, GE, Siemens, the chip makers are starting to get in this. So you see the Qualcomms and Intel, because they're putting the chips that will be in these devices or embedded in the machines. Now, if you look at it and you start putting this together, there are very few companies in the world, really, that can do all of this and have all of this infrastructure put together. So that's what Michelle and I were wanting to make sure to help you understand, let you get a first taste of that, and then have a follow-up conversation, hopefully, with you through our network and our channel. So we have a video real quick, and we'll go through that, and it'll kind of give you an idea of how this works.
When you work with stone for a living, you know a few things about permanence and quality. I'm Elliot Mazoka, owner of Lido Stoneworks. We source natural materials from quarries all over the globe to create magnificent stone products for some of the world's top architectural design firms. We wanted to stay on the cutting edge, so we contacted the IT experts at Breton to create an intelligent system powered by Microsoft that connects our design center with machines on the factory floor and those machines with Breton's technical experts.
I'm Enrico Favaro, Chief Technology Officer at Breton. We make the state-of-the-art machine tools and software that power Lido Stoneworks. Our solution includes a central server running Windows Server with the SQL Server database and has an ubiquity software based on Windows Embedded and Microsoft.NET Framework. It's all linked via the cloud with Windows Azure to a programmable logic controller at Lido.
Windows embedded handheld-based devices are also tied into the database, vastly improving our inventory process. Now, one person can complete inventory in a single day. It used to take 4 people a week. Last year, we made $10 million in revenue. This year, in just the first 4 months, we've already secured $8.5 million in sales. That's a 70% increase in revenue. Productivity's up by 30%, and our workers have more time to create new products.
Customer satisfaction is our primary goal and mission. With 85% of our customers outside of Italy, we used to spend a lot of time and money traveling to serving machine. Now, instead of flying to New York to bring a machine back online, our technicians solve problems remotely in less than a day. The solution has cut our annual travel cost by more than $500,000. And our workers have more time to solve problems and support customers. We wanted to offer a world-class product support to power Lido's business without traveling the globe. That's why we choose Microsoft.
We wanted to create a powerful, connected manufacturing operation to help us realize our potential for artistic innovation. That's why we chose Microsoft.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Paul. My name is Michelle Putnick. I work in the manufacturing and resources team in Redmond for Microsoft. So what Paul talked about, and also what we saw in this video, is the power of connecting manufacturing operations in this case. So connecting it to the internet backend through the Microsoft Azure cloud. So you have a good understanding of what's going on your production floor or plant floor as well as being able to have the opportunity to remotely assist the customer, Lido Stoneworks in this video example, without having to fly halfway around the world to satisfy that need. Now, that's a first step, but I have to say there's really a revolution going on in manufacturing today. One thing is connecting that for sure, and if you think about manufacturing companies, for decades you've spent time on streamlining your supply chain, your value chain operations, and servicing your customer, obviously. But with the next step of this revolution is also connecting the stuff that leaves the factory. Maybe not a stone slab in your kitchen, but maybe the stuff that's on that stone slab or underneath that stone slab, like a dishwasher or a coffee maker or whatever it might be. That is the next evolution or revolution, I would say, that is happening today. And the opportunity is vast, like Paul mentioned. It's vast in the way, in terms of how we engage with those customers that buy that product, and how we can create new types of relationships based on that, and very intimate, ongoing, 24/7 type relationships. Not only a product transaction, but an ongoing service engagement with that customer. In Germany, they call this, or they dub this, Industry 4.0. How many of you are from Germany in this room? So no one. Good. I was there last week for a similar session. In Germany, they've created a government-funded entity with representatives of the top 50 German manufacturing companies. They call it Industry 4.0. It's exactly about this, connecting the plant floor and also connecting the products that leave the factory. Right? You have car manufacturers, no surprise, in that organization. You have escalator, elevator manufacturers, and so on and so forth, all trying to figure out and understand how they're going to monetize based on the information that is derived from the sensors that are coming from their equipment or their products that they're selling to their customers. That allows for a fundamental change in that relationship, as I said. Many of these manufacturers have no idea who the end customer is. They sell through a channel. They don't know who that person is who bought that dishwasher, unless I fill in my warranty form and send it in to General Electric or to Miele or some other manufacturer of white goods. But usually they don't know who you are. Not even car manufacturers normally know who you are as buyers of a vehicle. But now they do. And they can have that intimate relationship. And they know how their equipment is performing or the equipment that you purchase is performing. So they can proactively service you and probably or possibly tell you that there's this software upgrade that we can push down to your car, or there's a software update for your dishwasher that will add 3 new programs that you didn't have when you at the time of purchase. So those types of scenarios is what we're seeing. Germany are investing in this because they want to be at the spearhead of this revolution, the 4th industrial revolution as they see it. Similar initiatives in Japan, similar initiatives in Korea. They also have names. I can't pronounce them, so let's just call it Industry 4.0, but for Korea and Japan. And I also know of similar initiatives going on in the U.S. as well. So we'll dig into that a little bit later. What's powering a lot of these new opportunities or this revolution is these same things that Paul talked about. It's mobility, it's cloud, it's big data, it's social. Social in the sense, well, social can mean many things, but in one sense, it's about we're getting the data out of this equipment, and it's not just one piece of equipment. It's millions and millions and millions of dishwashers that I'm getting information from, or a stovetop, or whatever it might be. And I'm getting factual data on its performance. So it's factual. It's not sentiment. It's not social. It's factual. But what happens when I mash that factual data set with a sentiment around my product? Extremely powerful new opportunities are gained from that. So if I look at this from a traditional plant topology, you have the device level, the control level, the MES level, and the ERP level. And what that means today, or what that means now and in the future, is to cloud enable these or internet enable all of these different aspects of a plant. So on the device level, on the control level, MES and ERP for sure, but all of these are able to communicate. Typically, what has happened in the past is the data that gets created, there's only a minor subset of that data that moves through each layer, right? It's the minimum amount of data to be able to create a BOM, create a purchase order, et cetera, at the end of the day. But through the advent of cloud and through the advent of large capabilities in terms of storage, we can now accommodate for the right information, right data set to accommodate to these different layers from a manufacturing perspective. If you look at the sensorization, and I can take a bottle equipment manufacturer in Germany that I'm currently working with. Sensorizing, but connecting it, right? Sensors they have, but connecting it through the internet. Being able to benchmark one production line that they're running at a customer compared to 5 other production lines that they're driving at another customer in some other part of the world, to understand where the benchmarks are, what can be improved, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what is done as we get the data out of this is to apply analysis to understand how the equipment is performing. Yeah? Make sense? And then, let's build this out. What that means at the end of the day is when you start looking at things that have left the factory that are now connected to the internet backbone through our cloud services, you're getting feedback from this equipment, failures, temperatures, pressures, quality, chemical composition of a liquid, for example, if you're a pump manufacturer, which is another customer that I'm currently working with, and how that drives back to your R&D department. What changes do we need to make in order for that part not to fail so fast in the future, right? So it's a clear tie-in back to R&D and design. I also work with a tire manufacturer, a global leader, who will start selling tires as a service to us in this room, should we choose to buy it as a service and not as a product, right, when we change tires on our car next time. The big saving for them, or the big reason for them to do so, is the huge R&D cost associated with tire manufacturing or tire performance, different climate types, different weather patterns, different road types that you're traveling on. It might be asphalt, it might be concrete, it might be gravel, it might be snow, it might be ice, sleet, rain, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So finding the perfect compounds for car drivers around the world is a business that is very, very heavy on R&D cost. So they want to make us the R&D department, right? By buying that as a service, we're also accepting the fact that the data from our tires is going to go back to that manufacturer and change their way of producing them, change their chemical compounds of the tire itself. So that also means, from a value chain perspective or supply chain perspective, the partners that you work with will need to be able to change as well, right? As those changes come in and that R&D perspective comes into it. One of the most interesting things that I've come across through the maybe 20 projects that I've been involved with worldwide is the dealer or the channel implications of this, especially in the case where a manufacturer does not know who the end customer is. And now they do. So when I think about my channel then, all of a sudden I had no knowledge of who that consumer was or driver of that car or using that tire, but now I do. How am I going to look at my channel from now on? Who is best representing my brand in my dealer community right now? Right? Should I should I push this opportunity that is coming in from these sensors? Hey, this left front tire will need to be changed in the next 3 months. And they know it, and it's factual based, right? They know that. But am I going to send them to Tire Rack? I'm going to send that opportunity, sales opportunity, which is automatically created in their CRM system, automatically. Should I send them to Tire Rack? Should I send them to somebody else? Who is best at selling my stuff right now? That has tremendous, tremendous impact on the way manufacturers will look at their dealers and partners. So back to that deep customer engagement. Now this loops back into manufacturing plant, as I mentioned, and having the ability to optimize how the equipment is set up in order to produce that new batch of products going out. When we think about this, it's obvious that you're not in, the customers that I meet are not in they want to leave the business of being a product transaction company and be a service company with 24/7 accessibility in that relationship, right? And it's founded on the data that we're getting from cars, from elevators, from escalators, from pumps, you name it, right? Or tires. It's creating a completely new business model for these companies. They're still in the old. They still do product transactions. They still will sell you a product if you want to buy the product, but they're moving towards the new world of services, always online, factual data based, etc. Tremendous impact, tremendous opportunity. Monitoring devices creates obviously differentiated services. Condition-based services based on the performance of that product. Service organizations becoming a profit center instead of a cost center, potentially. Connecting these devices leads to new service models, yes. Customer product or service insights for increased value propositions. This is extremely powerful. Now, a German manufacturer of white goods are working on their new model, their new business model, and they're saying, if you want to buy an extended warranty, so at least in Europe where they have their headquarters, in Europe you get 1-year warranty on your washer or dryer or stove top or whatever it might be. You get 1-year warranty. If you buy it with a Wi-Fi bolt-on that sends the data back about the performance, what programs are you running, what temperatures are you running at those programs at, et cetera, then the extended warranty that they will sell you a year down the road is going to be 50% cheaper than if you don't have the Wi-Fi bolt-on. Right? So for me as a consumer, do I want the extended warranty 50% cheaper? Yeah, I probably do. So I'm going to accept that they are looking at how I use my washer. And I frankly don't care. They're probably not going to use it in some evil way, hopefully. So the elevator manufacturer wants to keep the cost down of service. So they want to connect their elevators, not to provide elevators and escalators, not to provide them as a service per se, but they want to keep the service cost down of going out there. Because typically they send a van, they have an internal cost of $120, get the van out, repair guy, something is wrong here, this part needs to be changed, I don't have that part, go back, pick up the part, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a way to and those are more classical opportunities, if you will, remote diagnostics, remote maintenance, preventive maintenance, stuff like that, that will accommodate for those types of opportunities. The exciting thing that we've been working on for the last 6 months, I should say, is to bring this into CRM as a templatized approach versus building it from scratch. So if you think about it, there's really 3 components to this opportunity. There's the connectivity opportunity. So in the case of the pump manufacturer that I might have mentioned, they're retrofitting all their pumps that they sold, and this is the world's largest pump manufacturer. They're retrofitting all their pumps they've sold for the last 7 years and with connectivity and all the new ones that they manufacture. Now with that, they can sell, sell pumps as a service, right? So they coined a great phrase when they were at our headquarters 2 years back. They said, we don't want to be in the business of selling pumps. We want to be in the business of moving liquids. Very different value proposition compared to selling the pump, right? It's in itself. And they can provide a host of services to those customers. The chemical composition of the water going through a pipeline that the pump is pushing water through in a water treatment plant, for example. How much metals are in there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we built a template that Jasmine is going to show us in a little bit. It's called proactive service to cross-sell scenario or process. And imagine that you are in a call center, and your flat screen TV has lost 10 pixels. You don't know about it because 10 pixels on a 65-inch screen is probably not going to. It's probably hard to see that, but it's just the beginning, right? And the company that manufactures this TV knows about it. So it's obviously connected to the internet. It's a smart TV. So we're bringing the data out from the TV. A case is created automatically in CRM. In this case, in the customer care part or service part of CRM, case is automatically created. It was called upsell as well, so cross and upsell. So what happens is in this scenario is we retrieve the data from the sensor, and this is among millions of TVs, obviously. But one in particular is not working very well. So we get the sensor data, understand what's wrong with it. We try to figure out what type of solutions we have. I mean, is this a quick fix? Is this a replacement? Can I download a software patch to accommodate for this? I review the customer, who they are, and I contact the customer and talk about these three options that they have: a replacement, or software update, or something of that nature. They perform the service that they agree upon. And the service rep says, well, I noticed that you don't have a Blu-ray player. Would you be interested in purchasing one? Because I'm not getting any sensor activity from a Blu-ray player. It might be that this person has a competitor Blu-ray player, and then fine, okay, they're not interested. Let's close out the call. But if they don't have it, they might be, yeah, I'm interested in that. Well, great. We have we have a campaign this month. It's 20% cheaper, and if you're interested in buying one, we can send it out to you with the service guy that comes out and fixes your TV. Fantastic, right? So the service guy also now wears the hat of the sales guy, and they just made a sell, right? So that's the scenario that we're going to see in just a bit. Before I hand over to Jasmine, I wanted to tell you the implication of this from not only a service perspective, because that one is pretty well known. Service is pretty well known with regards to the preventive aspects. The sales one, which this example is going to talk to, is not very well known. So in this case, when that case comes in, it automatically creates the service case, as I said, but also the sales opportunity at 10%. Or 20%, whatever you decide. And it's based on the fact that we're not getting a signal from the Blu-ray player, right? So it's a proactive sell, if you will. Now, that was from one TV, but there's millions of TVs. And based on pattern recognition that we build in Azure, which is the second, essentially the connectivity, Azure, the cloud, is the second phase of this where we assimilate all the data that these sensors are sending. We built in pattern recognition into that. So when these 9 patterns or 9 things happen, create a case, right? Then more than 10 pixels are dead, and we need to do something about it, right? So that's pattern recognition. Data scientists at Microsoft work on this stuff. So that's what the second step is about, to understanding that. Now, if they are starting or nearing end of life, let's say it's 10,263 65-inch flat screen TVs. They're 7 or 8 years old, and they know, the manufacturer knows that these will break in the next 6, 8 months, right? And they can predict that very accurately. Maybe I shouldn't make a campaign. Or maybe this tool creates that campaign for me automatically and suggests it to a marketeer. And they have the option of executing that campaign or not, obviously. But that's what this does. It fills the funnel of service, sales, and marketing. And it's extremely, extremely impactful. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Jasmine so we can see this beautiful new thing.
All right. All right, thank you for coming. My name is Jasmine Limbry. I'm a technical specialist. I live in San Francisco, so I support most of the high-tech accounts in the Bay Area. So I'm just going to run through the demo that Michelle just outlined for you. I'm going to start off with the dashboard. So I'm an agent, I log in, and the first thing I see is just my dashboards. And here I can see a summary of all the different products that we have and the different types of service requests or sensory information that's been coming in on different times. So I can see how my products are performing over time. Over here I have a dashboard that shows me the different type of sensor data, how the information is being broken up, whether they're high interrupt, low interrupts, or whether they're causing service issues to be created or service tickets to be created. And then down below on the dashboards, I can see the different sensory information. So I can log into the actual sensory record, the different cases I'm working on, and then the opportunities that I'm generating off of those cases. So I'm playing the role of both a sales rep and a service rep at this point. So let's just take one of these records here. I'm going to start off with a sensory data record. We'll drill into this record here. And this information is coming automated into the system, so this is not information that I would generally have to populate, but you can see that I've got an interruption code that comes across, and I've got date and time, and the number of operations. So each of our products has number of operations that it's associated to, so based on the frequency or if that number of operations exceeds, it's going to automatically create that sensor data. When I come in, I'm going to log in, and I have a process to follow. So this is the business process that I'm going to follow to move to the next step. So the first thing I'm going to do, based on reviewing the data in the sensory record, I'm going to go ahead and complete the information in the reviewing the sensory data. So have we identified the source? Yes, we have. Can we describe the problem? In our case, we're just going to say no signal. Okay. And then we already know the service level because that's coming from the system and the number of operations. So once we've completed that, and you can see right now we're on a sensory data record. So once I complete that process and I move to the next stage, it's going to automatically create a case for me in the background. So here's the case for Ashley's account. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that case record. And you can see I'm now in a case. And I've got a different process to complete now. So I know Ashley's account. I can look up her SLA category. Let's say she's a gold member here. And we researched the solution to the problem. Yes, we have. And can we describe the solution? And we're going to just go ahead and apply a patch. Once we've completed that, we move on to the next stage. And now I'm going to go ahead and review the customer profile because my business process is guiding me to now start in the sales process. So I can go ahead and I can click on Ashley's account here, and that'll launch me to her account record. And I can review her history with us and get additional information I need on Ashley before I contact her. So did I look up her purchase history? I have. Have we identified any other products or usage areas that we can potentially upsell her on? And yes, we have. And what would be a complementary product? So here's where I can choose the product, and based on my research, I can see that the Blu-ray is a product area that she might be interested in. So I just go ahead and I enter that in my process. Move on to the next stage. And now I'm going to go ahead and contact the customer. So the system is prompting me to contact the customer. So request for contact, I say yes. And by doing that, it's going to automatically send an email notification to Ashley to let her know that we're trying to get in touch with her. And then what date did we actually get in touch with her on? So let's go ahead and choose. We got in touch with her today. And was the customer made aware of the issues? Yes, she was. Okay, and just to show you that update, in the activities area here, you'll see that email automatically got generated. So if I open that email up, That's an automated email that came from the system, just letting Ashley know that we've got some information from her equipment, and we've recognized the problem. We'd like to get in touch with her regarding that. So go ahead and move on to the process. Now we've got Ashley on the phone, so we can go ahead and start to perform some analysis and get some resolution to her issues. So we move on to the performance of the service portion of the process. Have we described the solution to the customer? Yes, we have. Have we applied a fix? Yes, we have. And have we verified that that fix actually did take hold? So yes, we have. So we've completed the performance. Now while we have Ashley on the phone, we can move over to the cross-sell portion. The Blu-ray player is already entered in the system because we entered it earlier on. And have we conveyed the benefits to Ashley for that? So inside of each of these product records, I can see if there's campaigns associated to this. And in this case, we can say, yes, there's a campaign associated, and we've let her know about it. And we've let her know the benefits of having the product and if there's a campaign associated. So that's completed. We're going to go ahead and email that information over to Ashley. So it's going to automatically send another email notification to her and get the customer's decision on whether or not this is something that she's interested in. In our case, yes, she's interested in the Blu-ray player. So by entering yes or I'm interested in that, we're automatically creating an opportunity record here. So I'm still on the case, and now you can see that I've created an opportunity record. So I'm going to go ahead and complete that opportunity record from Ashley just by launching into our opportunity account here, or opportunity record. You can see now we've moved from the case over to the opportunity. Here I've got some product information. So she's going to go ahead and say, go ahead and ship that over to me, and then we type in a shipping method. Maybe it does a calculation on how much that's going to cost. And then we go ahead and move on to the next portion of the process. Okay. Have we conveyed the product has been shipped to Ashley, some standard information. Is she satisfied with all of our service? Yes, she's satisfied. Does she want us to contact us with a performance evaluation? In this case, she says, no, please don't. And contact with the product offer, have we done? Do we want to continue to send her product offers? And she decides, yes, please do. And now that we've come to the end of the opportunity, we can go back and close the case. So we've talked with Ashley. She seems to be satisfied. We've repaired the initial problem she had with the television. So we're going to go ahead back and close that case. So I'm just going to go ahead and launch back to that case. It takes me right back where I left off. So I was in the cross-sell area, and I just move on to the next stage of the process. So now I'm just going to go ahead and close that case with customer satisfaction. Would you like us to contact us with a customer satisfaction survey? In this case, yes. And was the customer satisfied with all the performance? Say yes, and then I can go ahead and close the case. Okay, but what we highlighted here was that we were able to move across what normally is a very linear process, but move across three different objects in the system: the sensory object, the case, and then the opportunity record. Are there any questions on how this, and this is a template that's available today on the marketplace, but it's just, again, to give you an idea of how the system can be used and just maybe a starting point for something that you might be thinking of. Any questions?
Thank you, Jasmine.
So this is happening now. So you may have AT&T as your provider. They call you. They put this on a mobile solution. They text you, and all of a sudden it's in your palm of your hand, and you're answering those questions. I'm assuming most of you are from the U.S. Last night I saw, as I was watching the news, there was a new a bipolar drug that's come out on the market. They went through the whole commercial, and it was, you can't eat grapefruit, you can't tie your shoes without death. I mean, it went through this whole, we've all seen those commercials. The manufacturers are going out directly to the consumers. We're starting to get used to that. We see that every day. As consumers, you're getting bombarded with that, all the privacy laws in whatever country you're from. But there are also then, as you as a manufacturer and as a company, you're starting to bump into these scenarios that we played out. What we'd like to just do is maybe kind of take some questions. We can give you some scenarios. So like the washer dryer, the example that we used. We didn't talk about, I think, you want to mention the panel. I think that's a great discussion about the mobility versus the panel that they, and I'll slip the slides forward.
So I was involved, and this is 2 years ago, with another white goods manufacturer in Europe, and talked to their CTO, head of R&D, and their design officer, who designs the actual washer and dryer and dishwasher and so on. And what they hated was the display. They have to have the display because everybody has a display on their equipment, but it's really, really expensive. And when they think parts cost, it's oh, this is 3 cents, this is 2 cents. It's not. They don't like to buy a part that is just a display that costs them maybe $15, $20, right? And they also said, we have that on the phone. Why do we need another display on the equipment itself? If I can move that display out to the phone itself and control my machine through there, fantastic, right? And that also means, since the display on the phone is usually better than the display on your washer, I can extend my brand and my brand presence to a beautiful application and a beautiful experience. And I can add a bunch of other things. If this particular white goods manufacturer was a lot into cooking as a connecting their brand with cooking, not only cleaning or drying your clothes. So they would bring in recipes at a certain moment in time of the day when they usually know people are getting home. And as soon as that phone connects to the Wi-Fi, and maybe they start opening the fridge or something, recipes would start feeding into that phone. But also product recalls, right? Today, it's not easy to execute a product recall. It varies by country. You have to buy space in newspapers and make sure that people know about this thing. You might have to do something on television if it's really urgent or hazardous. And now they can just push that right out to the phone. If you're part of that sequence of production numbers, right? So you don't have to go and figure out, what's the production number on my machine, and do I fit that bill or not? They will just know automatically and send it out to those people affected by that recall. So it's a really nifty way for many reasons.
It's an interesting partnership. So you'll have partnerships that as you go through this cycle that you didn't think that you would have had before. So we'll continue the washing machine example. All of a sudden I know, Michelle has 5 kids, 10 kids. He's going to use the washing machine in a very different way than I am. As let's say I'm a bachelor 10 years ago. I need 2 buttons on my panel. I need third maybe if with my girlfriend in the laundry and some sort of a delicate cycle that I use once a month. But Michelle will need it for jeans, for towels, very different usage patterns with a larger family. Guess what? You know what? Now Procter & Gamble will make a deal with you. Let's send Tide to your doorstep. Now we connect that with Safeway. We know that you like, whenever I just moved from Atlanta to Seattle a couple of months ago, and immediately Amazon and Safeway were fighting over in my mailbox saying, will you order your groceries from me? Now all of a sudden you have a partnership and you're diversifying your business in areas that you didn't think you had, because now Michelle's getting his bread, his milk, and in this case his laundry detergent, because we know more about his patterns. We're learning more and more about him as a consumer. We had a Gartner conversation recently, and it's going to change your supply chain and distribution world too. If I know that in Michelle's zip code, as Procter & Gamble, for instance, or diapers, I'm going to sell 2,000 cases of diapers to his zip code. I'm going to sell him a Prime membership, say on Amazon or through Walmart. They have a similar buying group. I'm going to sell that membership, and he's thinking he's getting a great deal. I'm going to ship it 8 days cheapest freight. I'm going to charge him 2 days. He's thinking, wow, I'm getting this every week, 2 days freight, but I'm actually making money on that. At the very last point, 2 days before, I didn't know that it's going to go necessarily to Michelle and his family. I just know I'm so confident in the data analytics that I'm capturing, I know that in that zip code I'm going to be able to do this. Well, the Walmarts of the world, the UPSs, the Amazons of the world, they're leveraging the distribution center, the fleet, the gas, the storage of those products, and UPS is picking that up, or FedEx is picking that up, or whatever group that you're using around the world. So it's a very interesting how this all ties together within your entire supply chain.
Yeah, not only that, it also allows for unique, personalized, extended warranty offers, right, based on my consumption versus his consumption versus your consumption, etc. In the bigger picture, or in a B2B context, if we'll leave B2C for a second, in the B2B context, it's service level agreements, right? And you want to take as much risk out of that service level agreement as you can. Equipped with that data, you can make those SLAs extremely, extremely precise. And I'm not saying risk-free, obviously, but you can take a lot of risk out of that calculation by actually knowing how equipment is performing. So when you sell those SLAs out to your customers, that's a great way of accomplishing that.
So we've used examples of auto, home automation. Those are the ones that are getting the press and the publicity. Televisions, electronics. We had a steel manufacturer. They invented stainless steel. They're out of Finland, and I can't pronounce their name. It's a bunch of vowels. There, yeah, it's close to something like that. But it's a fantastic company, and they said, you know what? We need to, as we went through this conversation, every 10 meters, we need to put these sensors in it because Boeing, if they buy it for their aircraft, their wingspans, when a wing needs to know that it's the pressure, the speed, the temperature. What's impacting the life of these wings? Do we need to make sure that that happens? Or in a car, as we put these on the front end, as a wreck happens in a car, the insurance companies want to know more and more of the crash resistance. So if we put these sensors in, now we have data over time with 10 Fords versus 100 Fords versus 1,000 Fords and how that crash is impacting with models that come out of all of these sensors. So it's not just in the sexy, fun things that you think of whenever you think of Internet of Things when you study and learn more about this. It's in water pumps. It's in chairs. We have a company that's looking at chairs and it turns on the lights. Whenever you sit down and you leave that and it turns the light on because you're getting out of your bed. When your mom wakes up and she lives on the other side of the world, but you want to make sure that she got up. Hey, she steps on a mat and that sends signal 1. The coffee maker turns on. She turns the TV on. She goes outside to get the paper. Each of those is a flag. If 3 of those goes off, okay, it's a normal day. If 3 of those didn't go off, hey, Betty across the street, email automatically, go check on mom, make sure she's okay. So I don't know if there are questions from your environments that you wanted to...
We're happy to take, we have 10 minutes left. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Is the transmission of information going from the tire to the automobile to the net? Or
Yeah.
going from the tire directly?
No, it goes to the head unit first, and then onwards through Azure, and then back into CRM. Mostly, they're spending that project specifically, spending most of their time in the data analytics part of it in Azure to understand what they can achieve with this, and also, as I said, it's mostly for R&D purposes. They want to bring that cost down significantly by real user data, not their fleet of 50 cars driving around in different conditions, but there's nothing like the real thing.
So how would this apply to a semiconductor manufacturer? So for example, I might have a Broadcom chip in my iPhone.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not collecting any information.
No, I think we actually work with a couple of semiconductor manufacturers, and in that case, it's mostly around fault tolerances in the factory. So it's more sensors on the production floor, that the stuff that is actually going out is up to the specification required. So we work with chip manufacturers in that sense, not at the B2C level, if you will. Yes.
So just going back to this car example,
Yeah.
who owns the data? Is it
I was waiting for that.
the dealer?
Yeah. Is it me?
Driver?
Yeah. So it's a little bit different from case to case. Now in the case of a car, or in the case of the German white goods manufacturer, as an example, you're kind of, if I want that extended warranty and I buy that Wi-Fi enabled washer, I'm not owning the data. Right? The manufacturer owns the data, right, by virtue of signing that contract. With regards to the car, it differs. It's usually the OEM or the manufacturer that owns the data if you want the warranty to be ongoing and live. Right? It's the same thing when if you have a 911 button or an assist button if you have a new car. Many of them come with this service today, but it does mean that they know where you are, so they can actually send help, right? So you're giving up some degree of privacy, if you will. Now, is it for a good cause? Hopefully, it is. Does it mean that, in the case of example with washers that I've heard with those two white goods manufacturers that I've worked with for the last 2 years, there's always a risk with something that is hooked up to either water or electricity, right? and and also in that combination. So they kind of want to alert you that something is about to fail. Maybe you need maybe 3 grommets needs to be changed, or 1 is starting to leak water, and you're not noticing it, but it's about to, or it has started to drip, and you're not seeing it. So those are the those types of reasons I think we consumers need to think about if they are valuable to me, and if I would accept those terms of sending that data about my car or my washer or my whatever, back to them. I think it's easier in the B2B space. It seems to be easier. In the B2C space, it depends on the application area. Like the car, do I want Ford to know wherever I am in the world driving around in one of, well, it's my car now, but it's one of their cars that they manufactured. If it's for safety reasons, yes, I'll sign me up. Is there something faulty with the airbag? Yes, I want to know, because I don't want it to explode in my face when it's not when I'm not in an accident, when I'm just cruising down the freeway. So there are legitimate reasons why I would want to send that data and allow that sending of that data.
And there are also kind of variations on the 2 questions, because if you're if you're a rental car, you want to be able to have that your own data on that. If you're the insurance company insuring that, if you're the city, state, local government, you want to know who's driving your roads, and there's going to be, hey, if you're driving my roads, you can right now you go through traffic, and all of a sudden on top of the stoplight you've got a camera, and it sends you the ticket.
And it's also it's specifically in the realm of cars. They will want to know, you're going to get your insurance premium based on how you drive your vehicle. That's what it's going to be. And you're going to get your financing interest rate based on are you a reckless driver? It's probably going to go up. If you're so there's the value chains around the product are becoming clearly defined, and who the players are who will want parts of that data, if not all, but parts of it, so they can make legitimate offerings towards that. There was one more.
Whether or not there's an opportunity for OEM to sell it back to you. Where I've seen in the past,
Yeah.
going back 20 years ago,
Yeah.
fleet managers,
Yeah.
higher pressure management systems,
Yeah.
higher identification systems have been around for years for system management.
Yeah.
But if you're a trucking company, that's a huge expense.
Yeah.
So knowing and how to manage that.
Yeah.
I have, as a fleet manager, I have a lot of vested interest in how the trucks are performing, how the tires are performing. And so if you're collecting it, can I have that?
No, and it's a great question, because I'm fortunate enough to come from a country that has a small country that has 2 truck manufacturers, Scania and Volvo. So I'm from Sweden. They're both thinking about this, right? One of them can, so it's a little bit of it. It cuts both ways. Yes, they already today offer this data to fleets. They already do that. They already do that today. Exciting stuff going on now, though, is I'm driving, through the Alps. So let's take the Rockies, right? I'm going to cross the Rockies, and as that incline starts, you get a message on your head unit saying, "Hey, we're noticing that you're about to cross the Rockies," right? So they know where I am. I can update your ECU with 200 horsepower, and that will last for 24 hours. $50. Are you interested? Yes. No. Right? So very simple way, but do I want those extra 200 horsepower updated in my ECU? Yeah, I do, because that will get me to where I need to go an hour faster. There's value in that for shipping companies, obviously. So it goes both ways, how you use that information and also how you monetize it. And I think the monetization aspect of this is fantastically interesting. And companies are kind of twisting and turning and figuring that out, right? So you have I have my old business model, the way I've run my business for the last 20, 50, 100 years, whatever, and I have streamlined those, as I said in my opening slide, and they're not going to be very great at accommodating for this new model that I will need to tinker with and kind of fail fast with and figure out how I'm going to make money in this new world of services. So if this is the product transaction kind of gambit and this is the service the world of services, I will need to quickly adjust and move. And I think so from a cloud perspective, it's interesting not only by the virtue of we can collect the data to the cloud, and that's a good way of storing it and analyzing it before you push it into a CRM system or an ERP system, but that is cloud-based, right? Because you're not going to have 10 million washers connected to the internet tomorrow. You're going to have 500, and then you're going to have 5,000 next week, and in a month from now, you're going to have 10,000, and in a year from now, you're going to have 10 million. And that cloud model is so great in terms of you pay as you go for that volume that you're using, not an upfront commitment. So a great way of accommodating to that.
What about the considerations or implications of cyber attacks, cyber espionage, type of things?
Yeah.
Where, could just be kids, very smart kids that they get out there, 10,000 washing machines don't work.
Yeah.
The news catches a hold of that.
Yeah.
Bad press.
Yeah.
Big problem.
Yeah, huge problem.
Well, the government for that matter, NSA.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. So I actually, yeah. No, great question. I actually read an article about 3 weeks ago that it said it was the world's first hacking of a refrigerator remotely, right?
That's kind of, you don't want it spitting out ice cubes,
Right. Only if you have a party.
Maybe before the party.
Maybe.
Your brand new wood floor because they knew about that.
No, there you go. And there's different ways how you kind of accommodate for the security piece of this.
Sure, yeah.
In the world of Microsoft, we think we have it nailed. Our model is so in the exam, and when I went through this exercise with that chief design officer and their CTO at this other white goods manufacturer that I mentioned, where they wanted to break off the screen, not have a screen, but have your mobile device or your tablet or whatever to control that equipment. And they went down the path that, well, we're just going to, you have Wi-Fi on your phone, and we have now Wi-Fi on the washer that is connected to your router, your home router. Well, that's not how it's going to play out. We want to make sure that this phone is actually the owner's phone of that equipment. So we're going to take that phone and through that application, go up to Azure, check if the VIN number of the washer, whatever, you know what I mean, the unique identifier of the washer is actually connected to this phone and should be connected to this phone. So it's not a phone to washer. Yeah, so it's not a phone to washer. It's a phone to cloud, verify that I am who I am and that I own this equipment, and then back, send the command, and it goes up and then go back down again. I mean, when the architect drew that on the board, I was like, wow, that's a cumbersome way of doing it. You would think, right? But we're talking then, nanoseconds or seconds to get it done. But still, that is the secure way. Are there other ways? Yes, there are, and obviously less secure as well with results like that.
My concern again is the U.S. And their treatment of encryption algorithms. Right?
Yes.
So they insist on being able to look at that data. So
Yeah.
then again, you're
How I wash my clothes, and
Well, and that's
it's very interesting indeed.
that's a snarky response, but
that's a good way to kind of.
reality is much more.
It's a good way to.
And it's with regards to the German market my team spends a lot of time in because they're focusing so much on this topic for manufacturers. They do not, they want to use a hoster in Germany on German soil to kind of circumvent that.
Yep.
But staging areas for or let their operations in the U.S. take care of the data that comes in the U.S., but not be able to send it to Germany. So there are ways of how you navigate that. But it's yes.
It'll be interesting,
Yeah.
I'm not poo-pooing it one way.
No.
Big data, you can insert hyphen brother in there.
Yeah.
Anywhere, but,
You had one last.
Yeah.
Well, the other side of it is, how do we know that they're monitoring? So you're saying it's Wi-Fi, but cellular data, they can plug that thing
Yeah.
right next to the chip.
Sure.
And then they're monitoring you without you even knowing about it.
Mm.
So they could monitor my washing machine right now.
Mm.
And
Well,
how do you deal with
yeah. I mean, I think it also depends on what the triggers are. If it's, is it an urgent trigger that my hose is going to come loose and it's going to spill water on my floor, I kind of want them to monitor that and send me that alert if that is about to happen. But it's a tricky question. It's in the cases that I've been involved with in the B2C space, equipment is sending once a week. Hey, I'm here. These are the programs that I've ran through that week, because it's not vital information. But when parts starts to deteriorate, there will be they have defined different thresholds at which times they communicate that back, and that doesn't happen once a week. That might be, if you don't change that part in the next 2 months, things are going to go downhill from there. So we want to know that, and we immediately want to know about it, so we can do something about it before it happens.
My question is more that how a manufacturer is going to say whether they're monitoring you.
Yeah, that's
Whatever they do with the data, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Do I want to be part of the monitoring or not?
Yeah. No, that's how we see different manufacturers tackle that differently. Do we accept it because you're going to get a better deal on that extended warranty in that example, or cheaper car, or better service for the car? There are just different models associated with that.
So I think we'll find whenever you work with us or with other people, as you start to learn more about this through your organization and just studying on your own. When you think of Microsoft, not only Dynamics with CRM and AX and our ERP space and other products, but you consider the ability to use maps. Where's the map of these customers if we're making a service call on the route of the truck, the route of the service request? What are the patterns that we have? Being able to use our mobility. So we've had Active Directory just for your security questions. We've dealt with this. We've had the single sign-on for Windows Live, Xbox. That's not as serious as if you're monitoring your pacemaker and you want to know if it goes off. But we have been using and testing these for a decade of being able to have the technology to make this infrastructure work. It's really unique in the industry because Cisco may be able to connect you to the internet, but they don't have necessarily some of the other pieces that you can see from Microsoft that we have worked together.
I think we're being thrown out.
Yeah.
Almost.
So thank you for your time. And
thank you very much.